G'day guys, and welcome to another episode of Comics to Movies and More. As always, we've got Stephen here. It does look like our guest might be a little bit late, or if not, there might have been a little bit of a time difference as they were in the US. And as you guys know, we go live, so if they jump on, we will definitely have them on. But if not, we're going to talk Justice League Snyder Cut. If you haven't seen it, we'll try not to do too many spoilers. But super excited to talk about this. Stephen and I were just talking off air. I finally went through all my long boxes on Friday night and found some absolute grails that I didn't even know that I had. I didn't even tell Stephen that when I was going through my Gambit box, my wife had already bought me a first appearance of Rogue, and I just had that in there, and she picked up all these comics for less than $50. So I'm super excited, and I just want to say good day to everyone out there.
It's like finding money. But more importantly, firstly, I'm really, really glad she's on the chat, because there's an image we have to bring up for somebody. Hey, Kieran, but we have to bring an image up first before we go and talk to everyone, say hi to everyone in the chat. There's an image we need to pop up. Oh, happy birthday. I know it's on the 25th, but we thought we'll wish you a happy birthday a little bit early. Please, God, I use Google Translate, so I'm just hoping I got that right. I use Scottish Gaelic as the translation, so please tell me I translated that right. But anyway, happy birthday.
If you're in the chat, Moira, but happy birthday. We won't sing happy birthday to you, because that'll probably scare more people away. And this is recorded and put up on YouTube, so you would be able to play it back at any time. So we're not going to do that, but we did want to give you a shout out and say happy birthday for the 25th. Thank you for all that you do to support not only this show, but all of our comic projects. We really appreciate you, and we wanted to give you this shout out before we say hello to everyone else. So have a great birthday. Hope you spoil yourself, and have a great day.
Do you want to have a stab at the Scottish Gaelic? I don't dare.
Oh no. My wife is half Scottish, half Irish, and every time I try to say something, she goes, "Why do you sound like a pirate?" We don't sound like pirates. Why do you sound like a pirate? So, and I do always say that. To be sure, and she hates when I do that. So, I'm not going to have a go at that at all. Did you want to have a go, Stephen? Or
no, I don't want to. I don't want to spoil it for Moira. So just happy birthday from all of us here. Okay, let's say hi to everybody else in the chat. So we just had to get that one out of the way. Hi, Kieran from before. So,
Sazagal, how are we going?
Hey, Grace.
How are we going? Hope you're having gone. Kevin, how you going, mate? Hope you're having a good morning over there. So Moira has replied saying, "Wow, thanks, amazing guys," and everyone has said happy birthday, and I love this. Thanks. So, perfect.
We had to get out of the way, and I was really hoping she didn't miss today, because if it missed today, we would still have done it, but we would just ask you to watch the replay, which is not quite the same.
Oh, here we go. That's good.
Okay. We could have written anything, and it would have still. We tried, Moira. That's the main thing. We tried. We actually went to Google Translate to get Scottish Gaelic, so we did our best.
I didn't realize there was two types, because Gaelic is Irish. I didn't realize there was a Scottish Gaelic as well. So
Google Translate actually had two versions. There was an Irish Gaelic and a Scottish Gaelic. So I copied the Scottish Gaelic. So hoping I got it right, but it doesn't matter, because I'm really glad. Oh wow! Go to sleep.
Kevin.
This is we can watch. You can always watch the replay. But look, thank you so much for coming. But you can always watch the replay.
Kevin is a workhorse, mate. That guy is working around the clock for indie creators. So just to give Kevin a quick shout out, he works with a lot of creators, helping specifically comic creators reach more fans and more get a better reach in regards to doing advertising, shares, posting in groups, and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to get this wrong now that I've put myself on the spot, but I think it's Inked Media that Kevin works for, and they've been really good in reaching out and touching base with us with all the different creators they're working with. And promoting their work. So that's the guest we're going to have on tonight, which was Chris, and he's got an Indiegogo campaign up at the moment called Crit, which is randomly when I was talking about this, Stephen, you said you're actually doing a little bit of work on this book as well. So
look, Kevin has been absolutely great. So he's been passing me some short videos to do. So actually, we'll show it a bit later, but I actually had the really great opportunity to work on some of the videos on Crit, which thanks, Kevin, for the opportunity. But big news, and I'm really glad you picked it. And look, firstly, I would say before we get too far in it, there is no major spoilers. So if you did watch the theatrical version, in terms of the overall plot, it doesn't change too much. So since it's 2017, you've had 4 years basically to watch the original theatrical version. The plot doesn't change so much. They are trying to assemble all the 3 mother boxes to create the Unity to destroy the Earth. They decide they couldn't beat Steppenwolf halfway. They bring Superman back. And in the end, they stop Steppenwolf. So in terms of the actual main plot beats, it doesn't change. It doesn't change. The same thing still happen. But oh my God, in terms of how it's done, it's chalk and cheese. Look, before I dive too much, before I take up the next 20 minutes, Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I deliberately set the Thursday night aside to make sure that I watch this. I locked myself in here at 7 o'clock as soon as my little one went to bed, and I've spoken a couple of times on this show in regards to the difference a studio can make to a film. And how different it can actually be from a director's vision. We've talked about Wonder Woman, and the one nitpick that we had was the end fight scene, and then we later hear Patty talking about that was the one major thing that Warner Brothers wanted to change, and we're like, well, the ending you had is exactly what, the fans, or at least we wanted, type of thing. I've talked about Daredevil and the director's cut in regards to Daredevil, and how good that is, and how it's a completely different film. And this is the exact same thing. I felt like, although the bones of it were the same, the actual film was as you said at the start there, chalk and cheese. I felt like Cyborg was more of a central character in this one. I can definitely, not wanting to get into the politics of things, but definitely can see that his role in this film definitely 100% changed under Joss Whedon compared to Zack Snyder. I really felt like in the original one that the Flash was a bit of a joke, and that where in this one, I felt like he had a lot more. He was much more likable and relatable, and everything. And for me, I actually didn't feel like it was 4 hours. If I didn't know it was 4 hours to begin with, I don't think watching it that I would have gone, oh my God, that felt like forever. It kept me interested the whole way. It built up the characters. I felt much better. I think they were trying to do what a studio does, fit it into a 2.5 or under 3 hour film, and that character build up was severely lacking, considering a lot of these characters didn't have a standalone script. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to setting aside another 4 hours to sit down and watch everything that I might have missed in that first viewing. And I can tell you, there hasn't been a lot of films that have been released lately that as soon as I've finished watching them, that I'm saying, okay, I could definitely watch that again. And definitely no DC movies lately that I've watched have made me feel like that. I enjoyed Aquaman for the visual spectacle of it all, but it didn't really make me want to kind of go, I want to rush back out and see that again. If it comes out on Blu-ray, DVD, I'll watch it, but it's not something where I've gone, I have to see this. Where this, I was like, okay. I've soaked it all in, and I've gone now. I'd really like to have a second watch at it.
Oh, definitely. And look, the 4 hours isn't as bad as you think it is, because if you think about, he actually broke into 6 parts. So again, this doesn't spoil the bare bones of the story. It's exactly the same plot beats as the theatrical release, but he actually broke into 6 parts. So if you imagine this as 6 for, you know how in TV land, when you do a 1 hour TV show, it's actually about 45 minutes for ads, if you're making a show. So if you think about it as 6 episodes of a series and actually had the beats of almost a TV series. And I'll explain how the beats go. In most, like if you think about the Arrow or whatever, or Supernatural, whatever, there's usually a big bad. And usually there's a couple of filler episodes in all this, but this one, there's no filler. It's basically every episode had something happen. But if you think of it that way, so they lost to Steppenwolf once, twice, 3 times, and only when they finally got together in the season finale, if you will, could they then take him out. And it felt very much like, those TV series where they actually had that really nice build to the ending. And the other point would be is WandaVision, which I honestly speaking, I could binge that. I wish they actually had dumped everything all at once so we could binge it.
Yeah.
If you binge the entire WandaVision, you're looking at about 4 hours as well. And WandaVision would be totally bingeable as, But I love the character pieces. I love that they actually gave time for each of the character pieces. And they took away, and I think that's where Whedon made a mistake. And look, everything can be said in hindsight. So again, I'm not going to go and say, slam too much, because he took the Avengers template, if you will, make it a bit jovial, a bit of laughs, whatever. But in the DC mythology, these characters have always been the gods. While in Marvel has always grounded its characters a little bit more. Spider-Man was the everyday man, he always had girl problems, money problems, and all the rest of it. But in the DC-verse, its characters were always the gods. It's always been that way. So Avengers, that's the whole joke. The Watchtower is basically a space station because that's how far they lord over humanity. It's always been that little bit of that more mythology. And when Whedon tried to inject the human to it, and the cringe factor a lot in the theatrical release I always found was Batman was the butt of a lot of jokes, and he actually did a lot of the jokes as well, and he just go, no, you can get other comic relief, but please leave Batman to be that dark, brooding character. And I think that's when Whedon missed it, that Marvel characters are a lot more light, happier, and they are more connected to the man, everyday man, while DC characters are much more aspirational, the gods, they even put Zeus in there, which is like, yes, I loved it.
I was going to say that the old gods scene was
Ares was there too.
Amazing. So, and I do find it funny because you touched on this, that Mandeep was saying, I enjoyed the Snyder Cut, but he missed the humor that he got with the original version. The reason why I felt like I didn't miss the humor and that it actually didn't feel misplaced for me was it actually gave me more of a foreboding effect Like it was like, the world's about to end. We're not here cracking jokes when the world is about to end. And I think that's what I kind of was a little bit annoyed with the Justice League. You've just had your ass handed to you a couple of times, and you're cracking jokes. Like I felt like the jokes they left in there was deliberate and built more of a relationship with the characters rather than just having a joke to kind of relieve the tension that was there type of thing. So
and okay, I'm not going to expand on this because this one's actually into spoiler territory. So again, I have made a point not to spoil this, but the number of, and I think we talked about this with when we talked to Dan's Fractured Shards, and in terms of that book, we intentionally seeded it with just lots of seeds that even if you read the first book, I would guarantee you'll miss 99% of the seeds. It will just get missed, which is absolutely fine. But when you actually read, say, volume 2 or 3 and it references back, what I really would hope you guys would do is go back to volume 1 and go flip, flip, flip. Oh my God, they actually did say that. That links to that, and that. But the number of seeds that Snyder dropped, you have, it seemed like a little like the Mandalorian season 2. You could spin off from this movie. I was having a chat with a friend of mine, at least 8 different movies. We were just doing counts. That's 8 different movies you could easily spin off from this movie. And that type of world building was totally missed in theatrical. In the theatrical, again, if you missed it, there was a funny scene at the end where Superman races Flash. And it was never hinted at why they want to race. It was never hinted at. It was just a little throwback because Superman, used to race the Flash back in the old comic books. But that doesn't lead to a story, if you know what I mean. But in this one, they just went, you know what? If I'm Zack Snyder and this is my last film, I'm going to give the DCU a chance to stand. Boom, here you go. Make all the movies come from this. And I thought that was, oh man, I'm so happy they actually did it properly. They seeded the entire movie. They seeded the DCU for at least 8 different movies that I could count.
Well, we've got our guest here, so I thought we'll bring him out and ask him what he has thought. I haven't even asked whether he's seen the film yet. So, but welcome all the way from the US, Chris. How are we going on this very early morning for you, mate? I appreciate you making yourself available.
Yeah, sorry. I thought it was 8 o'clock our time and it was 7, and I woke up and saw your message. It was like, oh wow, I gotta jump on. So I apologize for being late.
Cool. Welcome aboard.
No problem. And I love the hat, mate. I'm representing straight off the bat. So I love that.
So you want? Did I see Justice League?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're talking the Snyder Cut. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. If you can see the blanket. Huge Batman fan. Been a Batman fan since I was like 4 years old. My first birthday cake was a Batman birthday cake. So, yeah, I love DC Comics a little bit more than Marvel in some areas. I grew up loving X-Men with Wolverine and stuff. But when the last Justice, well, I'll go back to Superman versus Batman. Come on, the Martha scene was not very. I love the Gambit. Martha scene kind of threw me off. Wasn't a big fan of Luther. It wasn't all there. Go into the Justice League to that, huge letdown to me. Almost as bad as the last Star Wars movie. And then you go into this, and when I heard about it, I told my wife, I was like, well, we need to break this up into like 2-hour segments, and we wanted to watch the whole thing.
You had to do the whole thing.
Yeah, we binged it.
It's strange that you spoke about Star Wars as well, because I mentioned that that Lucasfilm was watching to see what happened and what the response was from this re-release of.
Well, they need to
of Justice League, to then go back and do the Rise of Skywalker again. So there is a 4-hour part of Rise of Skywalker. So I think
I don't know if you can fix that though. That thing started off. Yeah. The whole series started off bad.
It's John and Dave that are going to go back and do it. And if anyone in the Star Wars universe, I trust to try and fix as much as possible. So,
but I feel like some of those issues that came up in Rise of Skywalker came from The Last Jedi. You know, that's one thing that.
That's what happens when you do a trilogy and have no idea what the trilogy is.
Like how can you have the biggest franchise in the entire freaking world and not have a plan? I mean,
like for example, you knew Palpatine, and again, spoilers. It's long gone.
It's been a while out. If you don't know,
yeah. But like Palpatine was never hinted at, never ever hinted at in 1 and 2. So to magically bring him back and then to say, well, what have you been doing for the last 30-something years? I've been building Star Destroyers. Just that's all I've been doing. So you haven't tried.
I'm a decrepit body.
So instead of trying to win back the government, helping the First Order, blah blah. Nope, building Star Destroyers. That's all I've been doing. And how many have you built? We built about 1,000, but guess what? None of them can escape without this particular MacGuffin. And if you destroy this MacGuffin, you destroy all my Star Destroyers. Wait, I'll just get this right. So we have one MacGuffin that has 1,000 plus Star Destroyers with Death Star lasers on it, because why not? And it's all linked to one MacGuffin, which you just have to take out, and we're all stuck here. I'm a really great emperor. That's how I would have planned it all.
You didn't learn from the Death Star having the one weak point. Come on.
But it's the Palpatine one, really. Actually, that part is me being a bit of a smartass. But the Palpatine thing actually was really annoying, more that for the big bad, because you want the trilogy to actually link up together. And he was never hinted as a big bad in 1 or 2. It was just jammed straight in. And it was like, you know what? You guys had no idea. At least
they also lied about it. There. Like Kathleen Kennedy on there saying that it was planned from the first movie, and the entire cast contradicting what she said. Like,
no, it could have been planned because, and this is where we were just talking about Justice League. You saw in Justice League, the one thing that Snyder did really well in this one, he basically seeded, and this is what I love. He seeded 8 new DC movies, and all you need to do is spin off from, like, for example, and again, this I don't want to spoil the story because some people haven't seen the Snyder Cut. Something that Flash does in the end, it links up to something Flash may do in the future. When he started, and you guys know what this is. And there is a scene at the end which shows an alternate reality. Man, that's another movie there. And then you keep looking at what he's done, and suddenly you just go, man, this is like the Avengers of Marvel in terms of the setup.
Yeah.
I looked at that and went, how can you have that really cool Flash ending and change that to the Jaws version where he's just running an old couple that just randomly live near this thing? I'm just like I just nothing there.
The Joss Whedon was straight garbage. There's no denying that. And I think Joss Whedon's done a lot of good movies, so maybe if it was his, it falls into the same thing we run into Star Wars. You keep going, you change directors too many times, and you get garbage. If Joss had it from inception, probably would have been better because it would have been his entire vision. I think anytime you take someone's vision in the middle of it and you just are given carte blanche to fix it, because that's pretty much what they said to him, then of course he's going to do what he does all the time. He's going to add pointless comedy onto characters that don't need it. I mean, I like the Avengers, but the problems that we have with the original Justice League are in the Avengers. I mean, I like the movies, but the characters are not what we saw in the comics. Not nearly. Like there's a lot of unneeded banter. There's a lot of unneeded comedy, and we're grown to like that because it started from the very beginning with Marvel. It started in the beginning, all the comedy, all the stupid stuff that we're used to. With Justice League, I was talking to my friend about it last night. We're grown to understand DC is a dark universe. You can't take a dark universe and then add Batman with one-liners. Like, that's not Batman. Batman's gonna smack you for having a one-liner, like. and as far as the Batman goes, I'm a huge Christian Bale fan. I've probably seen those movies upwards of 100 times, almost as many times as Ninja Turtles, the original, which I can quote from start to finish. But the Batman was the best Batman I've seen. Like, we have in Justice League, we have a very solid Bruce Wayne, and we have a very solid Batman. And I feel like in every Batman movie we've gotten, you either get a really good Bruce Wayne and an okay Batman, or a really good Batman and an okay Bruce Wayne. And I feel like Ben Affleck just owned that. And when he got cast, I was one of the few people that was like, he's going to be good. He loves his roles. He's a good director. He's a good actor. And he loves Batman. So, I thought we were going to get something really good. And when Joss came in, I was largely let down. But then this one, like you said, that alternate scene at the very end, I was like, there's one line that he says in there, and I'm like, oh man, they got Batman, and that was important to me because Justice League is mainly the trio, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And I felt like in this movie, in this version, we got proper Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, something we hadn't had before.
No,
Yeah,
look,
and that's what I liked as well, because I'm like, well, how do you make, the joke that the Flash makes, and I love the one in the car that I can't even remember whether it was in the original one or not, where he's like, what's your superpower? And he's like, I'm rich. I'm like, that fitted in perfect. But that end scene where the fight scenes and everything like that, I thought it was great because Batman doesn't have any superpowers, but they didn't try and make him do anything, I feel like, over the top. He was fighting, he was gritty, he got smacked, he used his weapons, and I was like, wow, this is actually like what a guy that doesn't have superpowers would actually fight like, rather than just driving around Aquaman and or that. I felt like he gave him and lended him a lot more to that action style and everything. And again, going back to I don't know much about Ray Fisher. I haven't seen him in much stuff, but I thought he was phenomenal in this movie. Like, he made me care about the character. He made me feel that he was conflicted. All that type of stuff. Like, it was, I can see why he's so passionate and would have been so upset to have had so much of his role in that movie absolutely cut and just be this four-scene guy that kind of is really the central point of the film, type of thing. So, and I like the fact of, Superman wasn't in it much. That it was about them trying to do it, and coming to the realization, going, we actually can't do this without him. And how far are we going to go to kind of get him back, type of thing. So.
We have a small bone to pick with you, Sean. Grace's comment: did you add Gal Gadot or Wonder Woman to the description?
What's that?
No.
Only. We had International Women Week last week, Grace. Do apologise. No, the only reason why I didn't do it, Grace, was because we have done our Wonder Woman show before. So when we're doing all the tagging and all that type of stuff in our YouTube videos, I try to use different characters and names. That is my excuse, and I'm going to stick to it. But
come on.
yeah, but I can add it in later. I'll go back and do that now.
Sorry.
Put me on blast. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Craig. But yeah, we hit the half hour mark, so we want to jump in to why Chris is here. We did mention off the top of the start of the show that you've got an Indiegogo campaign running. You have a series called Crit, and the Indiegogo campaign is actually for the first 3 issues. Is that correct?
First 4. It was 0 through
First
3.
4 issues. Okay, no problem. 0. You're another guy that started at 0. I liked it to begin with,
I didn't
but
start.
now I'm a little bit frustrated.
So I didn't start with 0. Actually, I never thought I would do an issue 0. So when I first started doing comic books like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I had kind of created my own little issue 0 idea, but it wasn't for readers. It was just for my friends. It's based off a D&D game that we play, and the issue 0 that's being done is our first session. I had kind of drawn it out as a joke for my friends, and that's what started the whole series kind of by accident. The first session, we just played it, and I went home and I started drawing, and I drew more, and then I was like, oh, I can turn this into a little comic book for us. And then I did, and then people saw it, and they're like, oh, well, my wife saw it first, and issue 0 that I drew, she said, it's okay, and that kind of sparked me to get better. And so I went on and I worked really hard, and then issue 1 came out, and it was leaps and bounds better than 0. And I kind of fixed some of my artistic style, and so I kind of threw issue 0 into the trash, and I had a folder on my Google Drive and moved on. So we get through issue 2, and a friend of mine from Australia, actually, he, amazing artist, him and his brother-in-law, they have their own comic company called Slate Comics, and we just became really good friends. And he was like, hey, I want to redo your issue 0, because I had let him see it. I was like, hey, this is something from the vault, never going to get redone, because I don't want to redo this. And he goes, no, this is good. You need to redo it, but make it fit the current storyline, because we had changed just a few things in our story. And so that's where issue 0 is coming from. They're redoing it. As you can see here, the characters have a few different suits. We have Captain Ant-Man is what I joke around about. Boulder, he originally wanted a helmet, and in our game, he was supposed to be a Captain America style character with a shield. And don't ask me where I got the idea to have a Ant-Man style helmet. And then Caliber, the character that plays Caliber in our game, was like, yeah, just give me a basic green suit. And so now you see their new designs. So after the issue 0 that I drew, they realized what they looked like, and they said, well, I want to change what I look like. So we went into this version of Crit, and I'm excited that we have an issue 0 now, because we get to explore some stuff that I never thought would actually get to paper. We get to make fun of those really old costumes, and there's some very tongue-in-cheek jokes, because again, it is a D&D session. So we're using some of the tongue-in-cheek, like making fun of those suits and saying, okay, well, I look like garbage. If we're going to be superheroes, we got to look real. And so we've got issue 0, 1, and 2, which issue 1 did win an award for best twist. So it's got a very twisted ending. And then I'm finishing inking right now and coloring issue 3, so that'll be done actually this week. Now that I'm up a little bit early today, I'm gonna start cracking a little sooner. And yeah, so Crit, it's based off of a D&D game, and it's about a group of friends that gain superpowers while they're at work, and you get to follow them as they face challenges and struggles, and they really try to make themselves be heroes. But it's hard to call yourself a hero when and if you've ever played D&D, you know that you're not always a true hero. You're going around like this. You're beating people up. You're you're saving the day, but at one point do you become a hero, you know, and not just a vigilante? And so I have 36 books planned. Actually, I think right now we're on like the 28th issue that we're writing. Works is we play the session, I record the session, and then I go back and I storyboard it. After I storyboard it, I go back to the team and I say, hey, this is what I've got for the storyboard. Then they tell me how much they hate it, and I fix it. And then I go back and I'll draw everything out, and then they get back together with me and we do the dialogue as another session. So you get true organic storytelling here. None of this stuff is ever planned that happens. It's kind of roll of the die. It's and that's what I love about it the most is, you have you pick up a comic book, and generally that comic book from start to finish has been planned, has been written, has been rewritten, has gone through the editing process 3 times, and somebody has probably retconned something somewhere, and that doesn't happen here. You have the way it's written. I come up with an idea for the session probably about a week or 2 beforehand, and I know my overarching story. I fit their adventure of the week into the session, and then I give it to them. This is this is the situation you're in. This is what's going on in the world around you. What do you do? And everything else is just roll the die and us arguing for 4 to 6 hours on whether or not they can do something. And then you get crit, which I've been told is kind of like a really interesting way to tell a story, because you get to see flawed heroes. I hear a lot on the indie side of, my character can beat your character. It's kind of a ongoing thing. My character is the most powerful, and I joke around. I'm like, I have some pretty powerful characters, but they're level 8 right now. Like they're not actually, I think in our game they're level 11. In the comic book where we're at, they're like level 6. And so if you know anything about D&D, your campaign really starts to take off around level 5. So they're very low level heroes. If they go up against someone who, I don't know, like a Superman level character that people love to create, they're not going to win. Caliber probably is my most formidable. You're on him right now. If you scroll up just a little bit. So this is one of my very unique characters, and I love this one. As far as D&D goes, it's a class that doesn't exist. He's immune to all powers. So it's funny. He's actually kind of based off of I'm half awake now, but there's a race in Star Wars that is completely immune. The Yuvong, I can't think of it.
Yuvong?
Thank you. In Star Wars, almost as long as DC Comics, but
yeah, I don't mind Star Wars, and I know a little bit about it.
So Brad and I are actually. I was playing. I was up till 2 a.m. playing the Star Wars, the online MMO. We've been playing that since it came out, and we continually make new characters and create our own Star Wars storyline. Which kind of is why we play D&D, is we love making our own stories. And so when it came to superheroes, Brad, who is Caliber, absolutely hates superheroes because, he hates the idea of, I've kind of turned him into a fan of Superman. Not that I'm a huge fan of Superman either. I think he's a little bit OP. But he said, I hate these overpowered superheroes because it's like you fall into the Goku scenario where they're just so powerful. How do you fight the most powerful creature in the galaxy? You come up with this idea for a more powerful character in the galaxy, and then you have this just domino effect. And so Caliber is immune to all superpowers. He has none, but he's immune to them. So what he relies on is his own fighting capability, and he brings enemies that would, like, say, Spectre, the guy up there, he throws fireballs. Well, his fireballs wouldn't work on Caliber. So even though he's a warlock style character who is, very formidable and almost broken in our game, he would have to do hand-to-hand combat with Caliber, and he would lose, hands down. and all the characters are based off of their real life renditions. So Boulder, for instance, he's a formidable grappler, where Terrell in real life was the top 9 in the U.S. in wrestling. He actually qualified for the Olympics. So you get a lot of real world background in these characters, which I think is really cool. And they don't try to be more than they are in real life. Spectre, my buddy Austin, who plays him, is just a young guy who likes to go to Comic-Cons, and he cosplays, and the cat is his familiar in D&D terms. And when he wanted this overpowered familiar, I was like, well, you're allergic to cats in real life, so we're going to make it a cat. And if it's around you for more than 4 hours, you take negatives. And so you get a lot of that. It's they're real characters. What you're hearing and seeing are things they would really do or have really done. And the best way I can describe it is if you went to your friends and you said, hey, you got superpowers, what do you do? That's what Crit is. I did my own version of New Orleans post Katrina. Don't ask me why or how the idea came to me, because I've been to New Orleans quite a few times, but I'm not a big Mardi Gras person. But I've always been interested in alternate versions of situations, and Katrina. And I don't know why, but I put the backdrop of after Katrina, a bunch of these companies came into New Orleans and helped clean it up. So realistically, in the backdrop of it, Katrina and New Orleans are a hub. Katrina happened because of this energy that's seeping into the world that was supposed to be locked away. That energy kind of interacts with Crit, which we'll see in issue 0, and gives them their powers. We talk about gods and stuff like that, and I'll give a little bit away that's going to happen later on in the series as we find out that it's the ethereal energy, which is what powers them, was locked away ancient times, like King Arthur times. And it's really weird that a few people know about it in the world, and they see Crit and they're like, you're not supposed to exist anymore. And we get to see some cool stuff later on. As a storyteller and as a world builder, I don't like to throw too much at once. I feel like some of the worst movies I've seen were, here's everything all at once, you're going to love it. And
Stephen loves his little seed drops. So I know that's why, again, you loved the latest Justice League for that exact same reason. But
it's different though. It's
great
you're dropping seeds. You're not having to explore all the seeds all at once.
Yeah.
You put yourself in a corner.
Tell a story, they're saying brilliant idea. Love the idea of organic storytelling process, because there has been D&D comics before. I've seen that, but you're 100% correct, Chris, in regards to that. They know what the story line is. It's been edited, re-edited, all that type of stuff. I don't think I've ever seen something like this where it's actually being played out, and yes, you're ahead, so you know what's happening, but played out and then written as how you've played that out. That's quite a unique way to kind of tell a story. Had you done another comic series before this, or was this the first thing that you kind of jumped into?
No, I actually came from music. On this wall over here to my left is all my guitars. You can kind of see there. I spent 6 years touring and playing metal music for Sony Records, a subsidiary of Sony, and never thought I would do comic books. My family, my father grew, when I was little, he made me, didn't make me, but I traveled around with him. He was a truck driver, and I got to go to every Comic-Con in the US. I met Todd McFarlane, I met Jim Lee, the whole Image crew. When I was a kid, I loved Image. If it had the Image logo on it, I was buying it. Not so much anymore, to be honest with you, but Youngblood was my favorite series. Youngblood and Spawn and Wetworks were my 3 favorite series when I was a kid. I love DC Comics, don't get me wrong. And I love Batman and all that stuff, and X-Men as well. But I love being able to pick up issue 1 or like that series. One thing I do love about Spawn is if you want to know about Spawn, you pick up issue 1 and you read through issue 300 and you have your story. With X-Men and even Batman and all those stories, you pick up issue 1, but which version of issue 1? Is it post whatever event they're going to have, and we have so much redo, and you never know where you're picking up, and like the mythos of the characters kind of change. I wanted that Spawn style storytelling to where you could pick up that issue 1, and I'm going to tell everybody, and I've said this from the beginning, the team and I are 100% in agreement. After issue 36, Crit's done. It's not that they're dead. And some of them may die. It's D&D. My characters could die. I mean, my goal as a DM is to kill them. But they are very powerful in their own way, and I've made it to where they shouldn't die if they play well. But in issue 1, you see them almost die. Actually, issue 1 was the first time they actually failed. It was like their third game, and they didn't expect what I was throwing at them. But yeah, that's the thing. Reach or anybody could die. I say Reach because he's like my weakest character. He's intelligence, wisdom based character, so they're usually not the most powerful. But I've seen them come close to death, and it could happen. I'm not afraid of killing them. They're not afraid to die either. We've been in agreement that if a character dies, they die. We re-roll a character, we make a new superhero. We're not going to do resurrections, nothing like that. We have a couple cool story arcs kind of planned within the story that are going to be fun, and most of it ties into a couple crossovers that I've got planned with some other creators. And after 36, I just want the Crit story to end. Doesn't mean that the world of Crit's going to end. It just means that we've told these characters' stories. Now we're going to tell new ones. And do they take place in the Crit universe, or do they take, I want that freedom of the storyteller to retire a character and feel like their story's been told. I really think that having a 50-year anniversary for a character is awesome, but at the same time, I would rather have a new character. We see there's controversy over, we've changed Batman, we've changed Superman, we've added this, the new Captain America was just announced recently that they're, a different version of Captain America. Why don't we just make new characters? I love D&D because it's like, oh, my character died. I take a character sheet, I make a new character.
And I think that's what's so clever about franchises like The Phantom or James Bond or those type of series. It's not necessarily the individual. Yes, you've got the different Phantoms, but it's about the Phantom and it's about 007. It's not necessarily about that. So you can tell those stories and have those stories finish and move on to another character. Yes, it's still a Phantom, but you're telling another whole different story with that same character. But I always said I loved the story with Spider-Man where it was a brand new day, he never married Mary Jane and everything, but after they did that whole storyline, it was like a click of the finger and everything was back to normal. I'm like, well, what was the point of telling that story? Because he hasn't learnt or changed or grown or anything through that whole experience, and it gets frustrating. So I've always love those stories that have an ending type of thing. Sorry, Stephen, you were going to say something?
No, we just have about 10 minutes left. And I know there's no video with your campaign, but I've got 2 videos actually that were done for your campaign. I think Kevin is the one who mentioned, we talked earlier in the show, I had a great opportunity to actually put together 2 quick videos for you. one thing we would like to do for all the campaigns is actually to play the video. So we've got 10 minutes left, so we'll play both. They're only about 45 seconds each. So just to show people, give an idea of the artwork and what happens.
Awesome, thank you.
And so just on a thing, we missed 2 characters from the first video. So one of the things we did on the second video was we made sure all the characters were in. So so that's the difference between the 2 videos. But if you play the second one, I like the second one a bit more because there's a good scene in it.
And now you've got you've reached your target on Indiegogo at the moment. So what is the goal that you're kind of aiming for, and where is the money kind of going to? And I'll get up the next video.
So yeah, the goal was $500. Originally, I wasn't even going to do any crowdfunding for issue 0 or issue 3. Issue 1 came out July last year, and I did a Kickstarter for it, and I failed. I never knew what to do with a Kickstarter. I just heard you should do one, and I just did one randomly, and it fell on its face. But what I did was I gave everybody issue 1 for free that had backed the campaign. I did have like 35 backers, and when issue 2 came out, we overfunded, but we triple funded on that book. Or actually, no, sorry, we quadruple funded on it. I gave everybody that backed the Kickstarter issue 3 for free, but then I had that team working on issue 0, and I said, hey, I would like to get some money for them. So the money from the Indiegogo, I thought Indiegogo is a different platform than Kickstarter. I'll put everything on Indiegogo, get a different base, and gather some money for the guys in Australia that are doing this work. They were going to do it for free. And so the goal that we set with them was $500. We crushed that. I think we're at almost 1,500 now. So I'm going to give them a little bit more because, they're doing all the art, they're doing all the cover work, they're doing everything. And if a general comic is about $100 a page just for artwork. And this is a 20-page book. So I'm going to give them a bit more, and they've asked for the rest of that money just to be put into issue 4, which will hit Kickstarter in end of April. The goal is to be able to use the money to continue the series. So every time we overfund, I was able to now, the money that's come in from the Indiegogo, generally I do 90% of the artwork. I do all the inking, I do all the flat colors, and then I have another guy who comes in and does a lot of my shading and details and lighting because I've only been drawing for like 2 years. So if you go through issue 1, 2, and 3, you're going to see my art style grow as well. And so what I was able to do with the overfunding from this was get the guy who's doing my colors on my covers to go through and do 100% of the colors in the book. So it gives the book a little bit more a professional look. You're getting much better colors in the story now because we have the money to pay for a real colorist. And in issue 4, I've got some really cool stuff coming because of what we've gathered in this campaign. I've got an image artist working on a cover. I've talked to a couple Marvel cover artists right now to do some cover work. And in issue 4, we're going to actually be able to now release a demo version of the game for people to play because we homebrewed our entire D&D campaign. So in issue 4, we were toying with the idea. Indiegogo's done so well that we're going to include it. And I think my final goal, if we hit 60 backers by Friday, which right now we're at 44, so we need 16 backers in a week. If we do that, I'm going to actually print that original issue 0 that I put in the vault and never thought I'd show it again. So I thought, hey, what better way to say thank you to everybody for coming out and supporting the book. Hit 60 backers. It'll be the most backers I've had on a campaign. And we'll do a one-time printing and digital edition for everybody, so they have a true collector's item of Crit.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, let me play this this video, and we'll keep talking. Well, that's super cool, man. That's super cool. So we've chucked the Indiegogo link in the chat. So if you guys want to go and check it out, you can have a look. There's a bunch of artwork up there. There's all different rewards, starting as low as $8 Australian. And I'm guessing you ship to Australia and everywhere in the world. Yep. Perfect. So if you guys got any questions, we've got a couple of minutes before the show is over. Drop your comments in the chat, and we will answer any of those questions. Stephen, did you have any last questions or anything for Chris?
Oh no. Look, I've been for your campaign. It looks really nice. I wish you all the best. And look, I can see that you've actually met the funding that you had for the Kickstarter. I think you earned, I'm only going to talk Aussie dollars because I think like 1,900 Aussie versus 1,900.
Yeah, it's in Aussie dollars.
Because it auto translates for us. We don't actually have they don't actually give us a chance to change currencies in. Don't worry, it's just the way it is. But it looks like it has matched up. So look, we wish you all the best for it. Links have been shared, so if you guys want to check it out, please do so.
Yeah, and we've already unlocked one additional free book, so you're getting Burlap issue 1 for free, all backers right now. And I think we're one backer away from getting Crossbones issue 1, both done by Covenant Comics. And if we so by the end of the campaign, you have a chance of getting either, if you do the you'll get a total of 7 books if you do the entire thing. So if we get that 60 backers, that's 7 books for the price of 4.
Awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that's really it for me. Anything else from you, Sean, before we wrap up?
Yes, I just want to give a quick little update on the projects that I'm working on. Talos of Sparta, I have just sent out the survey rewards today, and I will do a update. We've got the final proof files, and hopefully we'll go to print sometime this week. So super excited about that. I've got all the lettered pages now for XCT Infinity, and that will be getting put together this week to hopefully go to print the week after, which means a lot of fulfilling for me. And also we have a new project that we are promoting called the 13th Labor. If you haven't checked that out, head over to comics2movies.com.au. We have slowly updated our website. We've got brand new banners up there promoting XCT, Terra Olympus, Talos of Sparta, and the 13th Labor, which is super exciting. But thank you once again for coming on the show, Chris. I really appreciate it. For all of those people, if you haven't, please subscribe and hit that notify bell. And please check out Crit on Indiegogo. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks. See ya.
Take care.